What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and up next, got a pretty huge unboxing here, some great books, a few that I think are pretty good to be targeting around now, but also I think just something to be aware of if you're in the market for comics right now. This is a great time to be looking for some of those keys that maybe you've missed out on before and you're looking for some deals, so stay tuned. Alright, so before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. So like I said, I've got a few boxes here. I think I've got some pretty great books. I've got one book, at least one book, that will likely be going on my keepers list. I also wanted to open it because I might want to try a crack and resubmit with it. Since I am going to be doing a CGC submission again pretty soon, I wanted to have that one out to see if I actually want to do that when I send these in. But I've also got a few books here that I think probably pretty good to be targeting around now. Some have been coming down in price, and I think they have a pretty solid potential future. So with that, let's get into these books. The first one here is one of those books that I think is pretty good to be going after right now because prices have definitely been coming down. This is a really popular character. Now this is again a departure from some of the books that I normally buy, and I was talking about this, or this came up in the comments in the recent video I did where I was talking about modern variants. Now this isn't a modern variant, but it is a modern book. And there were definitely some comments where people, seem to think that if you're someone who likes to collect older books, that you're not going to have any interest in the modern books, and so that the books that if people are buying those modern ones, that they're just new collectors. It's not seasoned collectors or anything that are buying those, and I completely disagree with that. I've shown in other videos, I do also buy modern books. I think there is a place for those as well. It's not just one or the other. There's a huge mix of different types of collectors out there. There are people that just collect moderns. There are people that just collect older books. There are people that collect a mix, and so I wouldn't necessarily ever just think of it as a black and white, collecting type issue. But I've actually never owned a copy of this book before, which, I don't know, to me is pretty surprising. But yeah, looks great. So this is a modern book. This is a 9/8. I've had some of the later prints of this book. I really like the fourth print of this one. But here we go. This is Edge of Spider-Verse #2. This is the first print. This is the first appearance of Spider-Gwen. So I often talk about Gwen Stacy's first appearance, which is Amazing Spider-Man #31. But this is the first time that you have that character as Spider-Gwen. And so this one came up on Heritage, ended up going for a great price. I don't always talk about prices, but I don't mind talking about it sometimes. And so this one I actually picked up for $1,200, which I felt was a total steal for this book. And with just the popularity of Gwen Stacy and Spider-Gwen as a whole, when you see this book as well as Ultimate Fallout 4 kind of dropping in prices some right now, I think that's the time to pick them up. I mean, these are the modern big name characters, and I really like Spider-Gwen. I think she's a great character. I love the costume design for this character. If you're not aware, with this book there is actually a variant. It's something more recent. It's hard to tell if it's legitimate or not, but it does sell for more. There's one where you've got this background here that's kind of like purpley, and there's one that it's really dark, where it's just almost black, and it's hard to even differentiate from the skyline in the background. And that one goes for a lot more. So it's just sometimes you've got these printing differences, and they can sometimes just sell for more money. And that one does actually sell for more. But decided this was a good one to pick up. 9/8, Edge of Spider-Verse #2, first appearance of Spider-Gwen. I don't know why they say it's Spider-Woman at the top. Let's say Spider-Gwen. I wonder if because this is a little bit older slab, I wonder if the new slabs, if they color Spider-Gwen on there. I'd have to check. But yeah, so this is first book that I picked up, and a book that, as this book is coming down, if you like to collect moderns, if you're into that kind of thing, then I would definitely be targeting this one, as well as Ultimate Fallout 4, because that book has really come down. That one has gotten a lot more affordable. So that's another book that I would really be considering if you're into those more modern characters. So that's the first one. Now, next book here. This one I picked up from Golden Age Guru's claim sale. Now, this was actually a book that was on there, his friend Eric was selling, and I think he had this book on their prior claim sale as well, and I passed on it, and then in this sale he had dropped the price some, and I made an offer, and he made a counter offer, and I ended up taking it. And this is the one that it's in a CBCS case, and so I'm considering, obviously I bought it on a live Instagram claim sale, and so it's not like a book that I could look at closely, and so I can't really judge if it's worthwhile for resubmission until I actually have it in hand. And so I may have this one cracked out, I may not. But regardless, this is, at least for the time being, this one is likely going to be making it onto my keepers list. And I've been doing some reassessing on that recently, and some people have seen with some posts I've done, some books I've sold. There were some books that were on my keepers list that have recently fallen off of it, and I've sold those. So there are a few slots that have opened up, and so I've got a few books that I might be putting in on that. All right, so let's get this one out of the bag. I think it's a pretty cool book. This is a Golden Age Batman book, a pretty big Batman key, and that's where, when it comes to CBCS, I mean, I normally like to buy CGC. The main reason, and I've talked about this before, is because as a person who is selling books regularly, they are easier to sell, they tend to sell for more, and so I just generally will go with CGC. But when we're talking about rare books, Golden Age books especially, that's when I start to get more CBCS books, because if I can find them for a deal, I mean, you're buying the book, you're not buying the case. And when you're talking about rare books like that, it's even more true. Like I've got a, let's see, how many CBCS books up here? I have 2 CBCS books up here. The Fight Comics number 40 over here, and then the Rangers Comics number 14 over here. Both very rare, uncommon books. And, you know, if they come up with as CBCS, I'm going to buy the CBCS book. You know, you take your chance when that book comes up. Same thing here. This is Detective Comics number 68. It's also a white pages copy, which I think is pretty cool. This is the first cover appearance of Two-Face. So you've got Two-Face up there in that tower, and this is his second appearance. So you've got second appearance of Two-Face, first cover appearance, and this one is at a 3.5 CBCS white pages copy. And so the question for me is, do I want to crack it out and have it put into a CGC case? It's hard to say right now. It's hard for me to judge right now. It definitely, I mean, I would say definitely hasn't been pressed. It's got a pretty strong spine roll here. You know, you can see the flared out edges. You can tell just along the edge here, you've got a lot of kind of like rippling on the cover. But, you know, there are a number of, I mean, it's a 3.5. It's not a high grade book. So the question is, do I think it can retain that 3.5 if it's in a CGC case? It's got, can't tell if these are tears or if it's just kind of like a really strong color breaking crease. But in general, it is a nice presenting copy. There are no big pieces missing or anything like that. I think it would have a chance at keeping this grade. I couldn't see this book getting in the 2s. I think it's too nice to be in the 2s. Can it get into the 4s? I don't know about that. So I could easily see this book retaining a 3 to a 3.5. And that's the question of, would I rather have, if the risk, do I want to take that risk? Would I rather have a 3.0 CGC book or a 3.5 CBCS? And also, when you've got a white pages copy, you are taking a big risk that you will not retain that page quality if you do a resubmission. Even CGC to CGC or CBCS to CBCS, that's a risky gamble when you've got a Golden Age white pages copy. So it's just something I'll have to think about, but I do think this would at least retain in the 3s. Would it get a 3.5 after pressing, you know, and it gets cleaned up a little bit? maybe. So, but yeah, I thought this was just an awesome book to pick up. All right, so like I said, just to me, just an awesome Batman book. You've got, you know, the cool little the Batman signature icon up there in the corner, and then, you know, just a major book. First cover appearance of one of his big villains, and his second appearance overall. So this is what I'm talking about right now, where if you have some books that you've been looking for, some books you've been wanting to add, we've got prices kind of coming down right now, people looking to sell more books. It's the time to try to pick them up. I mean, especially when you're talking about more rare books like this. You know, take your chance at that point and try to add them, try to pick them up. So that's what I've been doing, and you know, obviously you see the books that I've been picking up, and so that's what I've been going for. I've been trying to add some of those Golden Age books, some of those more rare Golden Age books to my collection. All right, so now this next box here, let me make sure this is the one that I think it is. Yep. So this one I actually, let me move this out of the way. This one I picked up from Grail Comics, and so I would guess a lot of people that are sub to this channel also are sub to his channel. If you're not, recommend going out and checking out his channel as well. He puts out some great content, and he is a full-time comic dealer, and so he does Instagram live sales and that kind of thing. I believe he sells on Whatnot, but he's also got a web page where he's buying collections and he's selling those books there. I really do recommend going and checking out Grail Comics. I'll put a link to his webpage in the description to this video, because I mean, he really understands, you know, what he's doing when he's selling these books. I mean, his goal is to sell books, and so he'll sell them at great prices. And this was this Instagram claim sale that he had, and I ended up buying 3 books from him. I've just always noticed he has great prices. He has some awesome books. He often has some really big books, so if you're looking to add things like Fantastic Four #1, X-Men #1, those kinds of things, he does often come across those types of books, so definitely somebody to go check out. And this, like I said, I picked up 2 or 3 books. 2 of them are actually the same book. It's a Silver Age book, and then one of them is a Golden Age book. So let's see here. All packaged really well. So there's one of them. That's the Golden Age book. And then one Silver Age book and another Silver Age book. Now these ones, again, it's 3 books I've never owned before. I talked about that a lot. I love being able to get books I haven't had before. And so first one here, this is another one that I really do think is, I think it has some pretty strong spec potential. Now, it's just a solid key regardless, so you could just buy it for that on its own, but I think with the direction it seems like they're going in the MCU, there's a pretty good chance we could see a character at least like this at some point. So this is Fantastic Four #18, which is the first appearance of the Super Skrull, which is basically a character that had all of the Fantastic Four's powers. Now, I don't know if we would actually get this version of the character, where this character has the Fantastic Four powers, because we've already got the Skrulls, and it seems like we're moving forward a little faster with those characters than we're going to get the Fantastic Four. And so I think it's possible they could end up having some other characters' powers incorporated into one of these Skrull characters, or something like that. But regardless, I feel like we're going to get some variation of that character. And so he had a couple copies of this book, so I ended up bundling them together. I made an offer for both of them. And so that one was a 5.0, and then he also had 4.5. And so I picked up both of them because I thought it was a good price. I've seen prices on this book coming down, and it's one of those early, bigger Fantastic Four keys. I mean, it's 1963. That's pretty early Silver Age for Marvel superheroes, and so I thought it was a cool book to pick up. So decided to pick up 2 of them. But yeah, so that was one of the purchases. Now the other one was a Golden Age book, and I've never had any books from this run. This isn't actually this isn't the big book from this run. There's another one that's 1 issue later that is just extremely expensive, but this is Tales of Horror #7, and so this is this cool, kind of like a Godzilla type cover. And so there was some talk, Brian was talking about that, where there's some talk that this may have been used as kind of a template for some of the Godzilla stuff that was actually done. But regardless, I think it's just it's a cool pre-code horror cover. Now the cover that is a big popular issue from this run is Tales of Horror #8. I'll throw a picture of it up here. It's like this snake that's wrapped around a tower. That one goes for a lot of money. It is extremely expensive, but I don't know, I just thought this was a cool book to pick up. This one also has this Bonnet store stamp. Bonnets, I believe they still exist, but they were, at least back during this time period, a huge seller of comics, and so you will often find Golden Age books that have these Bonnet store stamps, and so they're generally pretty large. You know, they take up quite a bit of space on there. But I've had a few books that have had them over the years, and one of them I had this kind of like this romance book, and it's like they had stamped it like 5 times on the cover. But yeah, I thought it was a cool book to pick up, and felt like a great price. Decided to grab that one. So like I said, I definitely recommend checking out Bry's Comics. I'll put the link to his webpage in the description to this video. All right, now I've got the final box here. This one should have 3 books in it. Again, this one's got a mix of, I think there's, let me see, there's a Copper Age book and a couple Golden Age books in this one. And let's see, I've never owned either of these Golden Age books either. Ugh, packing peanuts. All right, gonna be a little careful getting this one out, just so I hopefully don't make a huge mess. All right. All right. I don't think I spilled any of them, so I'll take that as a win. And so this, like I said, has has one pre-code horror book. It has one kind of like a Good Girl Art title book that I've shown a couple books from that run before in the past in other unboxings, and one of them that I have another book from this run in another box somewhere around here. That's an upgrade to one of the copies that I have. All right, so that's a cool book. All right, so that's one. I've never had that one before. I have never had this one before. Then this one is actually one that I'm probably going to be putting up for sale pretty soon, just because I have a couple copies of this one now. I showed another copy of this one very recently, and that one was just a slightly nicer copy of this book, and so that's the one I'm going to end up keeping, and this is the one I'm going to sell. So the first book here is Teenage Mutant Turtles #4. I showed this book recently. If you watch one of my other unboxing videos, I've been looking at trying to get issues 2 through 4 in a 9/8. And so I actually I had a 9/8 white pages copy. This is a 9/8 off white to white, and so the white pages copy is the book that I'm keeping for now, and then this is the one that I will likely be putting up for sale. But I love these early Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles books. I like the wraparound covers. I like the monotone covers. I just think they're really cool. So this is #4 and 9/8, and just. This is the last issue. I've talked about this before. This is the last issue that's this larger magazine-sized book that has to go into these larger slabs. Here I've got, just kind of for reference, you've got the regular size slab here, and then the larger slab here, and I'm not. It's tough because I don't really like the larger slabs because they're a little bit more of a pain to store and to display, that kind of thing. But I do like these early Turtles covers, which then requires you to have the larger slabs. So that's the first one. All right, so the next one here, this is one of these Good Girl Art covers. It's from a fun run. These are these Al Feldstein covers, and this is Sunny #12. And so they're always fun. They're these, kind of like, you've got, like I said, the Good Girl Art covers. This one's got, you've got this guy in the window creeping on her. So I think it's a fun cover. There are a number of just fun covers from from these runs. Sunny is one of the runs. There's a couple other runs that have very similar content. But 7.0 is a pretty nice copy of this book. I mean, this is 1948, and so I thought this was a cool one to get to pick up. And especially with these, this is from a publisher called Fox Feature Syndicate. They are known for using lower quality materials on the books, and so getting them in a nice condition like this it's tough. So yeah, I was pretty happy to be able to pick this one up in a 7.0. All right, then the last book here. This is Pre-Code Horror. This is from a run I've talked about a number of times. I've never had this cover from this run. I've had quite a few of the issues from this run. This is one I've never had. I've had some people comment on the channel that this is actually their favorite cover from this run. This is Ghost Comics number 4. Now, my favorite cover from this run is issue number 6. But this one is also, this is a really cool cover as well. And the Ghost Comics run, I don't know if they're all Maurice Whitman covers, but they are almost all Maurice Whitman covers. If it's not all of them, it's most of them. And I think this is just some of his best work that he's done. He has some incredible covers. He has some incredible covers as part of, I think he did, I can't remember if it's Jungle or Jumbo Comics. Then he did Planet Comics later on in their run. You've got Ghost Comics. And he has a style that you can really tell when it's a Maurice Whitman cover. And but 5.0, it's a nice grade for this book. You've got the Ghost Comics run. All of them are basically like a mix of good girl art covers and horror covers, and so they've got a nice mix of some really popular genres from that time period. And so I think that's just made them to be really popular books. But yeah, real happy with this one. Nice presenting grade, a 5.0. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, there's some general spine wear, and then down in this corner over here, there's a few little creases and that kind of thing. But this is a nice presenting 5.0. I'm real happy with this book. So yeah, that was the last book here. I thought this was a pretty fun mix of books for this unboxing. I'm real excited about the Detective Comics number 68. That's definitely one of the books that's going to be going into my keepers list from this unboxing. But also I think some good books to be targeting right now, like those Fantastic Four 18s. That book has been coming down in price quite a bit. We know we've got the Skrulls already in the MCU. We know they're going to be playing a pretty major part in the MCU. It's just that they've been put on the back burner for quite a while now. But I mean, we had Nick Fury on one of their spaceships, or on kind of like a space station with a bunch of Skrulls, so we know that those characters are going to be a big part moving forward. We've got Secret Invasion coming, and so definitely a set of characters that I think are pretty good to be going after right now. But also just some fun books. I mean, this is the time. We've got prices coming down. We've got, especially at auctions, a lot of books going for some pretty good prices, so it's a time to keep your eyes open and look for those deals. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. I've got more videos over here if you'd like to watch some of my other videos, and the subscription button right here. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.